If it's broken, don't just ditch it. Call our dad and he will fix it. It only takes a little bit. Hurry, dad, and fix our...
Hey, watch your mouth.
Alright, so we got this lot on Craigslist. I'm going to put the little ad up here so you can see. It's a Original, not original, it said Original, for 15 bucks. It came with 2 controllers, the remote, some games. But it also said that the power button didn't work, and that the maybe the drive doesn't open. He wasn't real sure. So we got it hooked up to our little test TV. So we're going to test this thing out real quick and see what's going on. It says you have to plug it up to give it power. So we're going to see what's going on here. And apparently, as you can see, that is exactly what happens as soon as you plug it up. Power button isn't working at all, and it looks like it won't eject unless you hit it, and it won't close either unless you hit it. So we actually have some spare Xbox parts in the attic. I'll try to save these things if the boards go bad or something goes on with them. We got some spare parts. So I'm gonna take a minute, I'm gonna tear this thing down, see if we can get it going. If you've never taken these apart, they're really simple. Just get you a flathead screwdriver. You want to come in here and just peel up the feet. All the screws are underneath these feet. Let's go ahead and get these off of here. 4 of them. I'll set these over here. And there's going to be 2 other screws. There's going to be one right here under the, this is your serial number and warranty tape, and then there'll be one right here somewhere under both the stickers, because Microsoft likes to hide those so they can tell if you got in it or not. But it doesn't matter anymore because this thing is 3 million years old. So now these are the last 2 screws here. Let's get those out, and then that's going to leave the Xbox completely open so we can take the top off of it. Alright, there's going to be 2 more screws inside here. And these are going to be a little bit smaller side. There's going to be a screw right here. There's going to be one right here. So we can get this out and get to this board. See if we can figure out exactly why the power button's not working. Okay, so anyway, we're going to take these 2 screws out here. And this will get us to our... This will be the one. These are tiny. The hard drive caddy comes out first. Take that, set that over there, and then the DVD drive comes out. And if you look, once you get this, the hard drive caddy out, there's going to be one more bolt in here, same side as the front, that holds this DVD drive in, and then we'll get this out of here. All right. So here's our bad drive, the one that wasn't working. And we had a spare one in the attic. So we're going to change these drives out, and that should fix our drawer opening problem. We'll set this one to the side. But we got to figure out why we aren't getting power to the front. My guess is probably the button's bad. Button's probably sticking. So there's an easy way to test this real quick. I went ahead and pulled another faceplate off of that same old machine that didn't work right here. As you can see, there's just a little connection, and the connection just goes on the board right here. So what we're going to do is unplug this. We're going to plug this one in its place. Go ahead and get this one off here and see if we can figure out exactly. And then we're going to test this tray as well at the same time. Make sure. So this is kind of going to be all stuck together here for a second. Back in the back. We're going to try this button out, see what's going on. We're not going to be able to get to it there. So, let's go ahead. We'll take the power plug out of here. These Molex, sometimes when they've been in here for a really long time, they are a pain in the butt to get out. But it just locks in here. So we'll set this over here. That's our hard drive, and those are keyed to each Xbox, so you can't just go in here without making the disc first. And unlocking the drive. We'll go through that a little bit more in a minute. Let's put this over here, and then let's go ahead and get this thing off the front. Well, these can be a little bit tricky. You can get this faceplate off. They're held on with pressure points here, so we're just going to come in and lift on the side with the screwdriver, and that should get that off. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We're just going to come through and lift. And you'll hear the tabs letting loose some. This is probably the easiest way for me to get them off anyway. And that's going to be what I suspect is the bad button here. So we're going to put the new one on, and the same thing, you got this little yellow wire. It's got to go back through the front in the same spot. So we're going to get that on. Then we're going to get this one in place, and they go on a lot easier than they come off. It just snaps right back on. Let's make sure we make our board connection correct down here. And now we can test this stuff out. Make sure it's working. You'll see when you put these back together, this tray, they slide into each other on both sides. So we'll get this tray in here. And the only screw that has to go in first is the one that was under the hard drive caddy. So we'll go ahead and make that connection. Get that screw tightened up. Alright, before I struggle with this, we'll go ahead and test this thing out and make sure that we've got the proper, that when we can actually turn it on and off now, see if that's what the problem was, or see if it's a power supply issue. But we're gonna make our connection real quick here. Okay, so the button issue is not going to be fixed by this. There's going to be a problem on the board. The new drive is working with the eject and stuff, so we can handle that part. We just got to clean up the tray a little bit to get it working a little bit more smoothly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut. We'll pull this thing all the way apart. We're going to pull this board out and check the traces on the resistor. We probably got a problem. We're going to find there's a lot of corrosion. We may have to solder a trace. We may have to solder directly to the board. I don't know yet. But I'm going to pull this thing all the way out, and we'll see what we got going on. Alright, so we took this board out. We got the Xbox board out and we're checking it out. I've got my magnifying and my LED light out. It's going to be hard to show you this, but there's a trace corrosion on here, right here, that is just absolutely broken. So that's why whenever we plug this Xbox in, it's coming straight on. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do the same thing, kind of like we did with the little Galaxian tabletop. We're going to have to build a wire to bypass that trace. This is something you see more and more of on a lot of these older PCBs, and it's why I keep a lot of skinny wire around, because it's something that has to be done a lot. I showed you how we did it last time. So what I'm going to do, I try to keep this video down so we're not going over the same things over and over every time. I'm gonna stop here, show you where we found. I'm gonna build the trace wire, and then I'm gonna turn it back on and we're gonna test it out together. So we're kind of going through this from start to finish. I'm blind going through this with you guys, so we can kind of see what points we need to do. But this is definitely a broken trace that's causing it to stay on all the time. So I'm going to go get my wires together, get my soldering iron hot, and I'll see you once I get this trace wire repaired. We'll go over the repair after I do it, and we'll see if we can get the power button working. Alright, so let's do a quick test and see. Now the trace wires are replaced. Alright, so the power button issue's fixed. Putting it back together now, and we'll test it all after that. Alright, let's test this thing out from start to finish. Let's make sure everything's working now. Power button's back. And again, that's the trace wire. I'm not going to go through all those steps. It's easiest. Llama's got a good guide. I'll actually put a guide on this so you can see exactly where you can go check that out at. It's different for different revisions of the board, but it's usually just a trace wire gunk that's just stopping it. Now we got the eject. I'm paying 15 bucks for this lot on Craigslist. It's an oregano. The guy said Xbox. which is a special edition, I'm guessing. We got 2 controllers, the Halo headset, the receiver, the remote, and then we got like Tiger Woods 07, 04, which is terrible, The Sims, Xbox. I think the only complete in-box game was Star Wars Clone Wars. So we're going to make sure all this stuff is working. Close this up, we're going to turn it off. The power button's working. You can turn it on and off all day long. And that was just a trace wire, the same problem we had with Gallagher. You can hear it coming on. Alright, so that was it. Star Wars game's working fine. We may mod this later in another episode, I don't know. We just wanted to show that, I mean, 15 bucks, it ended up being just something that was wrong with the little trace wire again. So it's the second time we've had that happen. I tried cleaning it, wouldn't do anything. The trace was completely broken. You'll see that on the older Xboxes. You'll end up, they'll have a lot of corrosion on the bottom that won't clean off that the trace is broke. But other than that, 15 bucks is back together, so not too bad.